can be a leader, but a leader is a developed set of skills. It's a developed set. State of mind, state of mind, state of mind, state of mind, state of mind.
What's up? What's up? Good people. We are finally back. Leadership State of Mind. We are finally back. And before we even start, I want to jump in to say it's my fault. It's all my fault.
Come on, man.
Community, team, family, if you will, blame me. It's my fault that we haven't done any content because I went and did the oldest man thing I could have done. Go underway in a submarine and fall down the ladder. Now, what I will say is that the ladder was missing a rung, so I did not see it when I stepped down, but it screwed me up. I've been out of commission for about 6 weeks. Like, I could not sit down or stand up or sit down for any, like, I was just having to, I couldn't sit down for an hour and do a podcast because it was that much pain. And finally, I'm back at a place where I'm in a sense of normalcy, if you will, feeling good about myself. But I'll tell you, it sucks because I've rarely been hurt my entire life. So having to go through a thing where I got to sit myself down somewhere, that was not fun. It was not fun, people. It was not fun. Not at all. Not at all. But in that time, I'm sitting down, gaining introspection, ready to come back with some absolute fire for y'all. Tone, how you been doing? Let's shed some positive light on this circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, positive is sports has been phenomenal. Basketball kicked off. The baseball playoffs was above average. I continue to tell people like October baseball is something different. I didn't want your team to win the World Series, but it was great. And I think my wife's favorite holiday is Halloween. And we just wrapped up an absolute crazy weekend between Halloween on a Friday and then the Halloween party on Saturday. We probably had 50 plus people at the house, completely decked out. So we had a good time. I was actually going to wear one of my Halloween outfits for the show, and I was like, nah, we all right. But yeah, man, it was great. I had a good time. Work's been great. Everything's been good. Obviously been missing linking up with you. Again, I still continue to get content out there, Facebook and Instagram, but it's great to do the podcast and really talk about some stuff. So yep. I'm excited to go through it, chat with some people, hear what you've been reading, drop some bars on me and, go through the whole thing, man.
No doubt, man. I mean, so let's get the people what they've been waiting for.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
It was all good just a week ago, right?
It was. It was all good just a week ago. I got to tell you, I really just want you to hear me loud and clear on this one. Energy is transferable.
Yes. Whether
it's low energy or high energy, you are the conduit of what your team does. And so if you have low energy on a daily basis, your team is going to take that vibe on. And what I've been seeing a lot lately is, sometimes as leaders, we get tired, and I understand this ain't easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But when you get tired and you're not aware of it, and then that like low level energy transfers to those that you serve, and it could adversely affect the team. Just like when you're high energy and, feeling good and put people in the right direction and have positive interactions and making impacts, that it can change the dynamic. But I think it all comes back to knowing yourself, knowing when you're tired, knowing when you need to take some rest and self-regulate or do the things you need to do to be able to operate at a high level and bring the team up. And so, it was all good just a week ago, man. Don't get burnout. Don't get tired. And then transfer that low energy to those that you serve, because good or bad is transferable. And so you just got to make sure you're pushing things in the right direction, being the right conduit.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I love that. I love that. And you see it. It's a tangible thing. It's when you say things like energy, culture, all these words, don't really have like an existence in the physical world,
Sure.
but you see the result of it.
Yep.
Or the lack thereof. So people may argue with you, oh, well, that's not really how it works. People are responsible for their own. No. It is absolutely transferable, right? You come, like the only way to set someone on fire is to set yourself on fire. Set someone on fire is to set yourself on fire, right? So it's absolutely transferable. Absolutely. I love that, man. I love that.
Appreciate it. And the only thing I want to add before you jump into yours, right, is that,
Yeah.
you know, don't be confused. I'm not telling you to not be authentic and try to be someone that you're not. You know, like
The who y'all man?
Huh?
The who y'all man?
Yeah. Like there's different levels of energy, right? I'm just saying whatever your version is on when you're up, you need to stay up there because that's transferable. So, you know, definitely be authentic. I think it's critical for how we lead. So I just don't want people to misconstrue that.
Yeah. So for me, it was all good just a week ago. And that week could be a month, it could be a year, but you know, it's all about these lessons that we're learning along the way and things that we go through to make sure that we communicate transparency, that we don't necessarily have all the answers. We got a lot of experience, but we're learning and growing every single day as well. For me, this last month and a half has been eye-opening, enlightening in a lot of ways, because for my, and I haven't said this, you know, in any public platform. You know, I've talked a little bit to Tony, you know, with Tony about it, but I am now outside of the submarine force. I am no longer, you know, a CMC. My next tour of duty is going to be outside the submarine force for the next, you know, 3 years.
Sure.
And that's a unique place for me, because you go through. I've been doing this job with 28 years, 29 years by the time I get to the end of it. And to leave that community is going to be like, man, this is new. This is, and you get to a point at 29 years, like now I got to go do something different with a different community. How receptive am I going to be going into that place? So these are the things that I'm thinking about now as I go into, you know, that new place. And, you know, the thing I think about for being in that community for so long, I think sometimes who you are can become stale. You can become normal. Your voice could be muffled because you've been doing things maybe a certain way for so long.
Sure.
You know, so I think about that, because even in the response of, hey, what do you want to do next? What are you going to do next? I didn't have a lot of advocates for me going to that next thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, and it really made me look at myself and, you know, what did I bring to the table in terms of you know, positive contributions. And one of the things I did, you know, I kind of uncovered by myself, I am extremely passionate. And in that passionate approach, I know that I have the ability to offend people. I know that I have the ability to offend people, because there's a part of me that is unwaverable, that I'm unconditionally incapable of dealing with mediocrity.
Sure. Yeah.
And the problem is that if I perceive it to be my mediocrity, I will take it the same way. So one of the things I'm, you know, working on me is is building out my collective human perspective, you know, to try to meet people better where they are and try to make that approach better. Because I think I've burned some bridges along the way, calling people out.
Yeah.
And I balance that because this is who I am. This is a part of, you know, who I am, and I understand what the mission set is. I understand what the goal is, and if we are not going to go all in towards making sure we meet that goal, I'm going to question whether or not you're actually all in.
I got you.
And I'm going to question. I'm going to question the effort. I'm going to question the strategies. I'm going to question all the attributes of those things. And I think along the way, you know, some people may have gotten offended in that. So I caution, you know, people coming behind me and going towards reaching those next levels, going to those higher places. You know, do be mindful of that. One thing, I'm unapologetically me. I'm never going to apologize for that, but I know I can be intense. I know I can be intense, and I own that, and I also own the result of that too. Right.
Sure.
So always have somebody that you can bounce those things off of. You can have those conversations with, because this was based on the conversation I had with Ty. Like, hey, where could I have done better? Not saying that even going to this next place is like a demotion or a bad thing or anything like that. It's just
No, I get it.
the
Yeah.
process. The process kind of revealed that I did not necessarily have any advocates along the way to go to the next higher level. It is what it is. Um, I look at myself naturally, just part of my normal personality is like, hey, how did I contribute to this, and how going to the next thing, can I get better? Even though my next thing is retirement, it was always going to be retirement, so it really didn't matter to me because I'm at the end of this. I think for myself and for my family, but um, just really so I can give that feedback to those that's coming up behind me. I
Love it,
said
man.
a lot there
Yeah.
because I learned a lot.
Sure.
Hopefully that made sense.
No, I think it makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's nothing that we haven't talked about. Like, if I was to sum up what you said, is that, um, you can't walk into every situation and have it not go the way you want it to, and then immediately blame everyone around you, right? Like, there
Yeah.
has to be some level of introspective and be like, hey, what could I have done differently? How could I have done things, to get to where we want to go? And just to have that conversation and being able to be vulnerable enough and willing enough to take on that information is what continued growth is, right? It's like that is the
Yeah.
leadership state of mind, is never settling, never being comfortable with, where you're at, and always striving to get better. And so we can all grow every day, and you're just kind of articulating that through a personal story. So I get it for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she was. I mean, she was kind of. She wasn't like harsh or anything. She was just like, "Hey, you may want to think about this," because everybody doesn't respond at that wavelength. Everybody, doesn't understand the origin of that passion or the origin of that intensity, and they can take it the wrong way. So I
Sure.
was like, "Man, that's good. That's good."
Yeah. I mean, Ty's always good for that, for you, for sure.
Oh yeah,
Just like,
definitely.
yeah, man. So moving on to the blueprint, man. What you reading right now?
Yeah, so I've been bouncing back and forth with a couple of things. Because number one, with some of my business endeavors, we're during a big shift in the business. So been reading a lot of boring tax documents
Sure.
and things of that nature. But what I'm listening to right now, and I have been listening to over the last month or so, because I treat it more of a textbook than I do just as something that's a quick read. But it's the ultimate Jim Rohn library. So Jim Rohn is what was a motivational speaker back in the day. He would go into businesses and help people build strategies, for success, both individual and at the group level. I've come across him. I came across him early in my business journey as, hey, this is how this guy develops frameworks for success. If you listen and follow his guidance, he really lays it out for how to get to, the next level, then the next level in business. So, but it also applies just as a person and applies as in this organization, in the Navy, right? Or any job. Because it just provides a lot of wisdom. It's just a lot of just generational, wisdom. He pulls a lot of stories from the past, a lot of anecdotes from past things that have occurred, and he really, really makes it plain. That's why I love him, because you can listen to him in the background and you'll
Yeah.
hear a nugget, super simple, and it's like, oh man, what did he just say?
Yep.
Man, that's powerful. So Jim Rohn, Ultimate Library, hasn't necessarily written a book, but he has this gathering of all his speeches and all the things that he's gone, on Facebook and on YouTube, all everywhere. But on Audible, they took about almost 10 hours worth of his speeches and condensed it and put it into audiobook. So it's pretty awesome.
And what's the name of it?
It's called the Ultimate Jim Rohn Library.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's dope, man. Well, I was talking to you on the phone the other day before the podcast, but
Yeah.
I've started this book about 3/4 through it, Do Hard Things
Yeah.
by Steve Magnus. And I think what really got me down that path is, man, we're having a lot of people just struggling with when things get hard, like the lack of resilience, the adversity being too much. And I'm just trying to understand that, to offer people perspective and to try to keep more people in the fight. So it talks about learning how to be resilient, building, real toughness, failure, failure can lead to success and the ability for people to bounce back. But I mean, people really struggle with adversity. And, I mean, I have a couple of my own opinions. I'm sure there's some science that'll come out about it, but even the simplistic things of just, I think people don't want to see their kids fail. And we went so far with everyone gets a trophy that people go all of their childhood without being told that they're not good, or that, or like, don't really see failure. And then when failure comes as an adult, like, they don't know how to handle it. Right. I'd also say that I really think I'm sure it's already out there, but just how people respond and how people bounce back, it just seems like it's a lot for people. And obviously our line of work is not easy, but anyway, the book is good. There's a lot going on in the world. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of different things, and I'm just trying to have some context to be able to deliver to people who are struggling, who are doing something hard or is hard to them, and then be able to give them some skills and thoughts to be able to bounce back. So, cool book. I like it.
I love that. The thing I think about the most with that is the kids.
Yeah.
The normal process of wanting to protect your kids
Yep.
is taken to such an extreme level that we don't realize that it's those painful things, it's those difficult things, it's those hard things that they see themselves overcome that really helps to shape their perspective and widen their aperture to see the world in a more true light.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell this story just because I feel like it's so relevant. It just popped into my head for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know. I guess probably something to do with him being my son. But my oldest wanted to get involved in student council and wanted to, get picked up for this student council thing. And he wrote a speech and made posters and did all this stuff. He's 10, right? But he was really working hard at it and put a lot of effort into it. And he didn't get voted in. And the wife called me up and I was like, babe, I said, Joy, I'm about to celebrate this like a win. Like, I'm about to take him out because he was upset, but I wanted to explain to him, like, hey man, like, think about all the stuff you did. You've never given a speech before in front of anybody. You've never, did any of the things that you did, and you stepped outside of your comfort zone and you didn't win, but look at how much growth there is. And now what are we going to do next year? And so, like, me and him went and had a date, like we went out to dinner together and just talked about all those things. And I think that's really what it's about. Is he was like, Dad, you seem prouder to me when I lost than I did, like when we win in a sports game. And I was like, because it's important, because I think what you did, you should be proud of. And everything isn't about winning. It's about the growth and the journey. And so I don't know. That's kind of what I think about is capturing those moments where, we talk about it. Pursuing excellence on a daily basis does not mean winning every time, right? It just means trying to be better than you were the day before. And he started on a journey. The outcome wasn't what he wanted, but it's never always going to be what we want. But what did happen was growth. And so I just thought it was dope. And I think that's kind of what's in my head when I'm listening to this book and being able to correlate that to, the people that I serve. So yeah, man.
I love that. Every time you talk about the kids, and I have the same stories, the same anecdotes.
Sure.
But for the people, I probably said this 3 times on this podcast, and I am going to die on this hill. The most underrated Disney movie, Meet the Robinson.
You're the reason I saw that movie. Cause the first time you said it, I was like, yeah, I guess I gotta go watch it. Cause you always talk about the scene at the table, right? What'd you fail at today? Yeah. I agree. If you ain't seen it, you gotta watch it. Side note, nothing to do with leadership or this podcast. I found out today, the person that I've been with for 16 years of my life didn't understand a couple and their outfit last night because she never saw The Sandlot. I'm like, what? So we are 100% watching The Sandlot tonight. I couldn't believe it. She played baseball her whole life, or softball. Oh man, I talked about it for 30 minutes.
What was the outfit though? Like, I need to know this. Sandlot is top 3 for me.
So the girl showed up as Wendy Peppercorn as a lifeguard, and the dude showed up as Smalls with the glass on, the backwards hat, the bat in his hand. I mean, immediately I got it, right? Although he's not small at all. He's a big dude, but it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, leadership state of mind. I apologize for going off base, but I mean, we're talking about movies, and I was unstable. I didn't understand how we got there, that she had never seen that movie. So I will fix it tonight, team. I will give you an update afterwards on the next one, but we're going to get her right. She going to see The Sandlot. It's got to happen. You can text her later and tell her that you're disappointed.
I mean, I can't communicate how many times I've seen that movie.
That's how I felt. I'm like, good gracious. Okay.
That movie shaped me growing up. Because all I did was play baseball. Like, that was me and my cousin's favorite movie, like, every Saturday, bro. Like, we broke the VCR, we broke the tape.
Imagine how I felt. She's been living in my house this whole time. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So, as we always do, we talk about, we got some bars that we drop. What's our quote of the week? Armon always likes to come over the top with something better. I stick to normally what I'm reading. And
that's
honestly,
not how this works at all.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of gems in this book. But I'm gonna read 2 of them real quick. The fundamental level of success is doing hard things first. If you go for the feared thing first, then the rest of the day is easy. The right thing to do is the hard thing. I'm sorry. The right thing to do and the hard thing to do are usually the same thing. There's so much of that. I mean, I'm a morning guy, right? And so I hear that and I'm just like, when I get up and I'm about to go run 15 miles and I don't want to do it, like in my head, I'm like, this is why. You do the hard things first and then the rest of the day is easy. But the right thing to do and the hard thing to do are usually the same thing. Man, I mean, it's something to think about when you're always taking the easy route, when you're always trying to do like, what's the easiest and how do I get through this without doing the hard stuff? I think that resonates with me because I think to be great and to build great teams, you have to be able to do hard things and walk through it with your team to get to the other side, right? Like no great organization, no great team was ever built with like no adversity, right? Like we talk about it all the time. It's easy to talk about the success at the end, but no one wants to talk about the work that got there, right? Like no one just fell into it. Very rarely. Obviously, some people get lucky, but even them, it's probably not luck. It just looks like because we've been grinding, right? So anyway, like the book, love the quote. I'm about it. So those are my bars for the week.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, even from a physiological standpoint,
sure.
Like our energy reserves have been refilled in the morning. Once we get up and do our morning routine, the highest level of energy that we have is at that point. Why wait to do the hard thing later? Structure your day that matches your physiological energy levels.
Yep.
That's why for me, like my first thing in the morning is not to get in front of a computer and do email. Nope. Because that's low energy. I can do that in the afternoon. And if somebody legitimately leaving, they can find me. But I'm trying to do the hard things first, get it knocked out.
Love it.
That sets the tone. That sets the tone for the rest of the day. So when I'm building my week out on Sunday, when I take a look at the calendar, take a look at how I'm going to structure my week. I do this every Sunday called the blueprint. I take my time and go, okay, this is how I'm systematically going to do these things. Not this is first, and it's always the hardest thing first. Uh-huh. So yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love that.
What about you, man?
So this hard thing theme
is
really prevalent for this podcast, even before we get into the main story. But
See that? See how it works?
Mine is, yeah, it just synergistic. Like just comes together. It's nirvana, when we get together and have these conversations. But mine is actually pretty simple. Comfort zones don't shape the future.
Mm.
Comfort zones don't shape the future. We hear a lot about seeking peace, getting to a place of comfort, shunning the things that are going to build resiliency in us, which is typically hard things, which causes us to get outside of ourselves and put ourselves in situations that we may fail, that are going to be hard, that are going to be difficult. It doesn't shape the future of the organization you're in. It doesn't shape the future of your family. And it doesn't shape your future. By remaining in that zone of comfort, you will always be where you're going to be. And you can look at the past and it tells you exactly. You only change that trajectory to get outside, to get to really start to elevate when you step outside that comfort zone, to really shape that future for your family, for the organization, and for the people that are around you, for you yourself, right? Being, taking an opportunity to be selfish. Comfort zones don't shape the future. Being in that place of everything is copacetic and everything's cool and there's no pushback, there's no fight. That same mediocre trajectory. If you ever wonder why you're not where you want to be, is because you haven't placed yourself outside of that comfort zone, and you always seeked comfort and easiness and the simple path. But greatness is not found there. But that's only for the people that are seeking greatness for themselves and for their families and for the people that are in their sphere of influence. If you ain't seeking greatness, don't worry about what I said.
Yeah.
It's okay. No judgment from me whatsoever. But if you are seeking a better future, if you are seeking better outcomes, you got to get outside that comfort zone. Because those comfort zones don't shape the future.
Yeah, man.
That's what I got.
Nah, I'm with you. I mean, I love it. At the end of the day, they say that comfort zone is where, like, if you get there and you just aren't willing to move from there, it's hard for growth. So love that. Short, sweet, to the point, 99 problems, but leadership ain't one. My tip of the week. I love everything that you said. And I'm telling you, y'all are going to think this is scripted. While we have notes, we want this to come off the cup and be natural, but it is wild to me. I'm going to read you exactly what I wrote down. When we are doing things right as a leader and we have principles and pillars that are tried and tested, we must be unapologetic about doing the things that we said we were going to do. Do not allow people to change your mind on the things that you said matter to you and the pillars that you put in place for your organization to be successful. Be unapologetic. If I say I'm going to take care of people and prioritize training and the feeding and taking care of the people that I serve, and then you try to stop me from doing those things and try to not prioritize them, then I will be unapologetic when I tell you no. And so, we go into this job with a vision on how we want to lead and what we want it to look like. If we set clear, concise expectations and we tell people what we're going to do before we do it, don't be upset when I do exactly what I said I'm going to do, and I'll be unapologetic about it. That's my tip of the week.
Roger that. I love it. I don't know if I need to further expound. I think that was pretty clear.
Okay.
I think I was pretty clear.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt. Yeah. My tip of the week is I was actually going to use it as the bars for our bar section, but I think that the quote actually has become the tip because it has advised a lot of how I do things.
Sure.
And so the tip is what we call brokenness inwardly may simply just be the necessary path for the light to reach the world. I put that on the back of the desert and sea. I think I may have used it for a quote before, but it was much more resonant this past month for me. Because there was areas where I felt broken. Obviously, my back,
Yeah, physically,
but just in other things, just kind of working through, thought processes. But what I was thinking about is, even in those areas where I may have faltered in, those areas I may have failed in, and I got kind of confirmation on this from a couple of people, just randomly reaching out. But it's the willingness to go, that extra step. It's the willingness to go outside that comfort zone and be broken and fail, where now, like, that in that failure, the light comes through of who you actually are, especially when you're willing to share it and be transparent about it. So sometimes, as we experience these failures, as we experience these challenges that we go through, and we don't necessarily want to do that in front of people, or we are shy about those things, or we are concerned about how people are going to look at us, that may be the message for somebody else.
Yeah.
To come up behind you and pick that thing up and maybe take that ball further than what you've done.
Sure.
We never know. But I would just take that as a means of consideration for you. Just think about it. Maybe that thing that you're struggling with, maybe that area that you're broken in, maybe that area that you failed in, that may just be the area of light for those to follow the right path. So just consider that. Think about the reframing of those failures, because if you ain't out of here, you still got room to grow from it, right? So that's how I see failures. That's how I see those difficulties. It just may be the light for somebody else to follow a different path.
Love it. Love that, man. All right, y'all. Made it through the first segment. About to get into the meat of the podcast. And we are going to, I don't know, you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off? Where we at?
Yeah, I got you. I think we've kind of given away the main discussion that we're going to be talking about, but it's about leading through the storm. It's about leading through difficult times. And here's the singular sentence that I want everyone to take away from, the discourse that, Tony and I are going to have here. The very reason that leadership exists is because things go wrong. The very reason leadership exists is because things go wrong. And I'm not saying that our job is just limited to being problem solvers.
Sure.
But it's a big part of it. But if everything was easy, why would you need a leader? Because the path is clear. The answer is easy. There's no reason to traverse difficult grounds. But that's not the truth of the world that we live in.
Yeah.
It is difficult. It is hard. And I will tell you right now, just, in this organization, things are difficult. There's a lot of noise that is crowding what truth is in terms of communication back and forth. There's a lot of uncertainty, and in that uncertainty becomes insecurity. It becomes fear, quick decisions that are made from an emotional place, chaotic, which causes people to go inward and only seek their own asylum, to seek protection for themselves, and forget that there's a whole group of people that they're in charge of or responsible for. So leading through these times, leading through difficulties, it's not supposed to be easy.
Sure.
I operated under this assumption that getting to this position was not an accident. These times require leaders that have been chosen for these times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So ipso facto, the reason why these challenges exist are solely because I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's a privilege to be in this place when things are difficult. It's a privilege to be counted upon where you are the one that's being looked at when things are uncertain. And going back to, the energy conversation that Tony had, this is the start of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Who do you become I ask this question all the time. Who do you become when things get dark?
Yeah. 'Cause you got, yep. You learn a lot about people that way.
Absolutely. And as a leader, I hope you've had some level of proof along the way that gives you some insight on who you become when things get dark, so that you can mitigate that, you can prepare for that, and you can be the best version of yourself for your team, even through those situations. But what we're going to be talking about today is really how to lead through the storm. How, like, we are not necessary as leaders when things are easy,
'Cause everything's
right? You may have strategized and managed and put systems in place where things are successful, things are going smoothly. Not a lot of people coming to you, but when is it off the hook for these interactions from people to you? Well, it's when things get hard, when it gets hard for them, when it gets hard for a group of people within that organization, or it just gets hard for that organization. They come to look to us for those answers. They're looking to us for direction. And if we're not properly prepared for these difficulties, for the uncertainty, for the chaos, then it'll just be the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Because our emotional stability will be compromised. Our vision will be compromised. Our decision-making prowess will be compromised. And the outcome will be detrimental. So that's the thing that we really want to, talk about today is, how do you do this when that situation comes down, when there's a big problem on the horizon? We may have sometimes we don't have any time, but how do we navigate these times? How do we deal with, number one, how do we deal with ourselves first? How do we deal with ourselves first when those things present? Do we wait till the problem comes? Or is it something that we have to prepare for in good times, in preparation of knowing, hey, at some point things are going to turn, because that's how life works. All right, so what do I need to do now to prepare myself?
Yeah.
That fair, Tony?
Yeah, man, I love it. And I mean, what I wrote down was, as leaders, being able to see through the mist and confusion, and being the stable leader that can help push the team through, through the noise and the distractions to keep everyone on track. And so I feel like before we can go forward, we got to go back, because I think that the first thing you have to do as a leader is, and this is why I talk about the importance of mission statements, about, knowing what your team's goal is, what the objective is that sometimes when the noise is there and the distractions are there and things aren't going right, people get sidetracked on what really matters. And so your job as a leader during all this chaos, all of these things happening, is to keep your team aligned and focused on what's important. And so to define what's important, your team has to know what the goal is. What is the objective? And so what is it that your company organization stands on? What is it that really matters? And what is it that you're trying to accomplish on a daily basis? And whatever that thing is, you need to be able to calm the room, get everyone on the same page, and say, hey, this is happening and this is happening and this is kind of crazy right now, but our objectives and goals have not changed. This is what we're here for, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get there. Or, hey, let's come up with an idea on what we're going to do to move forward. But I think it starts with knowing what your vision is, what your job is, and what it is you're trying to accomplish. And if there is ever confusion on what that is, then it, even in simple times, it's hard, right? Because then it's like, wow, if you don't know what we're doing when it's easy, when it's hard, you're going to be real confused. And so that is what I think is so important for leaders, is to keep people aligned and moving down the right path through the mist, through the confusion, through the noise, to get us to where we need to go. Now, some of this noise, is good. Some of it, you need it, right? To create growth, to bring up new ideas, to see what your team is made of, but you got to know the direction. And so if you're listening to this and we're talking about ways to fight through the distractions, step one, what is your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? And where are you trying to go? And then everything else, you keep the team aligned on that concept.
Yeah, the thing that I heard the most through what you're saying was by Stephen Covey, keep the main thing the main thing.
Sure. Yep.
Now, and you hear that a lot just because it was popularized by the book, but it's so important.
It is.
And I think people miss it because it's so simple. It's like, hey, what is the goal? Yes, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of branches. There's a lot of things that we are supposed to do. What is the root? What is the goal? Acting outside of that goal, let's get back.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Like, it's so easy to get away from that and get distracted. Hey, get off on side roads when you're supposed to be on Main Street, right? Because the GPS said something wrong, or you decided to go get coffee or whatever. You got distracted by something. Nope. Let's get back to the main road. Let's get back to the main place. And it's so important that you said get the team coagulized around that concept. Let's revisit what's important. Because some people think this is important, this is important, this is important, this is important, this is the main thing. You may be missing that collaboration in what's happening. And what I mean by that is that everybody else thinks you've communicated that something else is important. And you haven't communicated, no, recenter, no, this is the main thing, or these are the main tenets, these are the main principles that we operate on. Everything that we do needs to flow from this thing, right?
Yeah.
So that, because you, just like you said, starting at the beginning before we move forward, like what has been established first in preparation for the noise that we know is inevitably going to come, the problems that we know inevitably are going to come, the difficulties we know inevitably are going to come, because this solidifies us one voice through that storm, one direction through that storm. So absolutely.
Yeah, and we owe it to our teams to show them what to focus on, right? Like we owe them that. If everything is a fire, then what's the priority? And
Yep.
if we be proactive leaders and not reactive, we have to be able to be the voice in the room that's like, hey man, like this is the priority. This is where we're going. This is why we're doing that. And the other thing the next point I wanted to hit on was the ability to communicate to your team that there are things that we can and cannot control. So distractions sometimes come as something that we have no control over, right? And if we allow those things to decide, like run our decision making and like affect our mental headspace, it makes it really hard to lead. And so, what is it that we have control over? What are the things we don't have control over? And then making sure that we focus on what we can do to move the team in the direction we want to move them in. And I think sometimes those conversations just have to be said out loud. You can't just assume that everyone's on the same page, right? You have to sit in a room and be like, hey, all of these things have just happened. This, and this sucks. This is not what we want to see. This is not where we want to go. But guess what? This is where we should be going. This is where we're going to go. And this is how we're going to prioritize. Does anyone think that these are not the priorities? And of course, take feedback, bring it in, but keep everyone aligned and communicate effectively to make sure you're moving down the right direction. But we have to be proactive and not reactive. And everything can't be a fire, and everything can't just affect you in the same way. It's something you got to be aware of. You have to, and that's why leaders that get too far into the weeds lose the ability to bring the team together, because they're missing it too. They're also becoming proactive or reactive, and they're also running from fire to fire. And so if you're in the room and you're a leader, you got to realize that if you're not far enough away to see if the team is moving in the right direction or not, you might be right along with the team following down a path due to a distraction. That makes sense?
I see this so much. I see that so much.
Yeah.
You see the leader and they're exhausted.
Sure.
They are overwhelmed. They are, in a lot of cases, at their wits' end, because they have to be here, and here. And they have to do this. And when you ask the question, hey, why are you doing all this? Because I have to. Because you have to. Okay. You ask further questions. Why you feel that you have to do this?
Yep.
Well, because they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this. Hey, guess what our job is? It's preparing them to do this. So the reasons why we find ourselves at our wits' end, the reasons why we find ourselves in those situations where we're exhausted, we're tired, we're frustrated, is because we hadn't done the preparation for our team and getting them ready for what's to come. Because if you are finding yourself in that situation, just know life is not going to take it easy on you because you're tired.
Sure.
It's only going to get more difficult because not only is your lack of preparation for your team perpetuating more problems that you could have avoided, but just the natural occurrence of difficulties also on top of that is going to exponentially multiply those problems. So when that next wave of things comes, you're not ready to respond to it and you're reacting. And this is how we find ourselves where we don't see a way out. And the only option that we think about is, nah, I can't deal with it. I'm throwing my hands up. And that's a place that we cannot be as leaders.
We can't. And we have to figure out a way to. That's why you need an accountability buddy. You know what I mean? You need someone on your team to
Yeah.
be like, hey man, what are you doing? And that you trust them and have that trust and that relationship that they can like pull you back and make sure you're not, you know, in the wrong place or, you know, in the wrong headspace doing that type of stuff. So yeah, man, that's a great point. I think as an organization to go through adversity, the thing you as a leader need to think about, the difference between a good team and a weak team is the leader's ability to keep the team focused and to get them thinking about the right stuff and the right things. And those things, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to continue to just try to galvanize the team and rally the troops towards the right stuff. But the weaker leaders that struggle to do that get beat down by the things they can't control or also get distracted by things that are happening around them, then their team falters as well. And so you have to make sure that you're aware of that and that you have someone that you can lean on and bounce ideas off of and make sure that you guys are, you know, on the same track. Because it's certainly hard to do by yourself. You know, you gotta have some people you can trust to have those conversations, keep you on the right up and in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the next point I think about is going back to something that you had already talked about is just, you know, the management of your energy, because what energy is transferable, right? So what is your demeanor? How are you carrying yourself? How are you carrying yourself through, you know, this difficulty? Go ahead.
No, I was just asking when things are bad, right? You're asking like what type of energy, like how you have it then? Yeah.
Yeah. So when that wave hits you, right, what's your demeanor? What are you unintentionally communicating, you know, to your team? You may not say it. You may get up in front of people and say, things are great.
Yeah. But in all reality,
but you're always transmitting.
Yeah.
Leaders are always transmitting.
Yep.
Because you are the focus a lot of times. People are looking to you for those answers and for those directions. So when they see you, they're picking up on what you're transmitting before you actually transmit. And so how's your demeanor? Are you so beat down that you can't even smile, you can't engage, you can't positively interact with your team? Or when that instance comes, and because you haven't previously prepared yourself, you're just as panicked
Sure.
as everybody else that is experiencing it. I used to tell my team when I was a cop, I was like, listen, you guys have permission to worry when you start to see me worry.
Yeah. I love that. That's great.
You have permission to worry when you start to see me worry.
Yep.
And that confidence in communicating with that to my team is because I know I don't have anything to worry about.
Yep.
One of the things that I've always done, I'm highly imaginative and creative, as evidenced by the things I always find myself into.
Sure.
Tony gets on me about this all the time. It's like, what are you doing next? But as a result of that imaginative outlook that I have on life, it really leads me into seeing the world in pictures. And I always just imagine what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
And I go through these scenarios all the time. When I was a cop, I did it every single day. What unique way is, something weird going to happen to derail my day? So I'm mentally preparing for all these crazy outcomes, these dangerous outcomes, these chaotic outcomes. And what would I do in that situation? What would I say in that situation? How would I respond? How would I direct my team in the midst of that situation? And that's all happening inside of my head.
Yep.
It's all happening inside of my head. Nothing has happened for real, but my nervous system is being prepared for these things to occur. So when crazy things do happen, guess what I'm able to not do? Panic.
Yeah.
Worry. Because in some way, shape, or form, I've already played this out of my head 1,000 times over.
For the record,
so I'm
that is
ready for.
my fault. I was about to say, like, for the record, though, for those that like to do that, they like to play all those scenarios through their head. While that might come to help you at a point, it is also mentally exhausting. That's why Armon, that's why he needs to get his sleep. He's like Doctor Strange, just sitting there, just trying to run through every single scenario in his head. So that way he knows how to answer it. I'm not that talented. I don't have that much energy. So so all I can do is just try to be, he does the Doctor Strange thing where he plays every scenario. And what I try to do is stay grounded on the principles of, yeah, that's exactly what I was envisioning in my head. The principles of, not taking things personal when things don't go right, and not making assumptions when things are happening that are outside of my control. Right? We talk about the 4 agreements. I've said it 1,000 times on this show, but I think it's important because I used to take things personal when things outside of our control would go wrong. Be like, oh, it's my, of course this is happening. And then I don't have a good poker face when I'm mad, told by my wife, my kids, and most people. And so if I don't know how to, stay upbeat and be calm through the bad situations, then people are going to be able to tell. People are going to be able to tell. So your point is valid, man. Like, you got to be able to at least play some of these scenarios through your head and then self-talk, have conversations about how you would handle it and what it would look like. So when it happens, you're like, okay, so here we are. So what's the plan? We've prepared for this. We've trained for this. We're ready to execute this, and let's do it. And when you're calm, the people around you feel at ease. I love what you said about, get worried when you see me stressed. I mean, you look at coaches and phenomenal leaders, like that's what they're able to do. They're able to calm people down and recenter them. And that comfort, that feeling that they feel when the leader feels like he's in control and it's not too high or too low and just even keeled and gives direction, then the team feels safe and then they're able to move forward. And so as your team goes through these adversities and as you're trying to weed through the distractions of the day to keep the team focused, your demeanor, your delivery, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond is going to allow the team to move forward in the right direction.
Absolutely. When you were talking just now, one of the things I thought about, we can take leadership lessons from everything.
Yep.
Obviously I watch a lot of sports, so I take a lot of leadership lessons and content and things that I think about, from sports. And there's one instance that really sticks out to me that really illustrates this really, really well. And I'm an extreme admirer of her. Dawn Staley. She's the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, the women's basketball team, who have won, I think, 3 out of the last 5 championships, and I think 4 or 5 in the last 10 years or something like that. But they're a dominant team. Asia Wilson, who's a WNBA MVP, came from South Carolina. But this past year, they played the Connecticut Huskies, who have always been dominant.
Sure.
Before South Carolina came on the scene, it was the Connecticut Huskies that's absolutely dominating women's basketball. But last year, they really weren't projected to make the championship game, but they end up making it because Gino is an amazing coach. And you look at the contrast. If you get an opportunity to kind of do some research here, and you look at the contrast between Gino's demeanor and Dawn's demeanor when things got hasty for both of those teams in that game. Dawn Staley lost her absolute mind.
On the sideline. Yeah.
On the sideline.
Yeah.
Every turnover, every missed shot, just, do you think your team is going to win? Because what you're transmitting right now to your team in this difficult time, they're only down 5.
Sure.
And you're losing it.
Yeah.
I love her as a coach, but I think she lost that game in the beginning of the second half when she just lost her cool. She let her emotions, get the best of her, and her team followed suit. You can see the energy on the court was diminishing. It was something palpable that you can watch and observe. And I think it started with the coach. And that is one of the greatest illustrations of what we're talking about when we talk about demeanor through the storm. Her team picked up on that demeanor, picked up on that, and they emulated it.
Yep.
They got emotional. They got in their heads, and it diminished their game, and they lost. They almost got blown out. But it started as a result of looking at the leader and watching her lose her mind. And now that doubt has crept in, man. Maybe we can't do this. Maybe we can't overcome them. Maybe they're just too good.
Yeah. Yep.
And once you allow that to happen, that outcome, a lot of times, is not going to be favorable for you or for your team. So you have to watch your demeanor. You have to take captive of that moment. Reframe what's happening. We talk about reframing a lot, but it matters.
It does.
It matters in how you communicate to your team what's happening. Hey, we've been resilient the entire year. This is just another opportunity to show who we are. It's just another opportunity to write a better story. Because the story isn't going to be, man, they hit us in the mouth and we fell down and then got back up. But no, they hit us in the mouth. We stumbled to get back up. We adjusted and we still overcame. It's just an opportunity to write a better story. That's what reframing is. And that's that communication, to your team during these chaotic moments. This is what gets them through. This is what communicates that, no, I got it. We got it. No, we're good. And that injects just such a level of confidence into your team that, yeah, we do got it. Yeah, man. We do got it.
Yeah.
We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right out here.
And if you don't watch women's basketball, I will just reference the entire 90s and early 2000s and Joe Torre versus freaking Aaron Boone and the failures after failures. Man, Joe Torre was like, win, lose, man, he was so calm, cool, collective. Yeah, I love that. I love that thought process because I really feel like it's so important. I'm in my head, I'm thinking like that Malcolm Gladwell story about Blink, right? And how like your brain processes all of these memories and all of these things that happen. And then they do that little flip book behind your eye and it gives you like, all those splices of all these past experiences. And then you get this feeling. And so if all the past experiences are negative, when the coach is getting mad and screaming and the team's not going good, then your body's you're going to see that and pick up on that. And you're going to be like, oh, we're not doing good. And then maybe your body language changes. But what if when you looked at a sideline, you saw someone that was calm? I think of like Popovich, right? And these guys, I mean, he would get animated, but he just, had a way about him. You listen to.
Yeah, it was intentional. And I call it intentional intensity. Like he would choose specific moments to But when things were going wrong, he was still.
Yep. And, I did a leadership training where I talked about when to yell. I think in a lot of things, you have to do things with intention. Even if you don't really want to yell and that's not who you are as a person, maybe that's what the team needs that day. But you have to do it without from an emotional headspace of like, I'm about to go in and do something that I'm not used to doing because I think it's what my team needs. But your team is gonna vibe off you. And so
Yep.
just remember, as we get ready to wrap this up, man, like there are so many things that go outside of our control. There are so many distractions. There are so many things trying to knock you off the railroad. You have to be able to be the calm in the storm. You have to be able to provide the right insight to your team to win, and you have to be able to push them in the right direction. That requires effort. That requires a lot. It requires you to stay calm. It requires you to be in the right mental headspace. It requires you to see the bigger picture and understand the direction you need to go, and then to be able to tell people and delegate to make sure that we stay on the right path. And you need to be able to think about how you're going to execute these things when things get hard. Like Armon said, play these scenarios through your head. What happens if this happens? What are we going to do here? And then how can you train your team to prepare for those moments so when it's hard, we're ready to execute? Because that's what it's all about, man. You are going to be constantly distracted. You are going to be pulled a million different ways. But if every day you know what the end state is and you know what you're pushing towards, then you're able to keep your team aligned and push through it. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But at Leadership State of Mind, we have to have the right mindset to start the day. We have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and that we are continuing to push ourselves to get better so that way we can provide the right knowledge, the right input to our teams so that we can win. Because when the teams win, we win, and then we continue to motivate, lead, and inspire every day, man. But got to be able to see through the storm to get to where you're going. And you got to be the captain that's seeing the path or showing them the spotlight and getting them down the right direction.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself, man. The only thing that I will add is just remember, we never know how long the storm is going to be. Right. So this is a daily preparation. This is not a one and done. This is not every now and then I'll start to look at, the list of preparing myself and getting ready and doing, having these meetings to talk about what we control. Right. This is daily preparation. We don't know how long that storm is going to be. But we know who we can be. We know who our team can be, and we're focusing on the right things and framing these scenarios for our team in the right way and maintaining our demeanor, maintaining our energy. One thing, make sure you have somebody that you can remain accountable to as well, right?
Yep.
Those things are extremely important, but it's a daily grind. It's not a one-off. It's something that we continually work on, continually chip at ourselves to make ourselves better and more ready for those things. I'm calling it just because that daily process, we're trying to get more like water, more adaptable, more flexible for those things to occur. Because the more rigid we are, the harder that it becomes to really see what needs to be our response in this moment. Because this is how we've always done it. That's how you know you're rigid, when you find yourself saying that, right? But when we reframe it, what could we do? What's the worst? What's the best that could happen? We have asked ourselves those kind of questions, and we remain flexible and adaptable to what's coming. But the things that we talked about today, this is how you become like water. This is how you become adaptable. This is how you become ready for every storm. So, I think that about sums it up. What you think, Tom?
I was just about to say, man, Leadership State of Mind. It is great to be back. Great to have Armon feeling healthy. Man, please continue to like, share, follow. Check us out on YouTube, wherever. Check us out on Instagram, Apple, iTunes. There you go.
Yeah, Spotify,
iTunes, and we're out here, man. Spotify. Please give us feedback. Tell us what you're looking for. Help us get better so we can continue to provide the information you need. But until next time, I'm out. Looking forward to seeing you soon, man. You guys take care.
No doubt. Yeah. Peace.